Hello and welcome to a new video on my nose transformation. So a little story before I start. I basically follow this one girl on Instagram and I always thought that she had quite a dramatic nose job done. Because her nose looked so narrow, it's just impossible to have such a nose in real life. Till the moment she revealed that what we see in her pictures is not her real nose. And she doesn't Photoshop her pictures neither. She basically does some nose contouring using the power of makeup. I was really skeptical about this technique, but seeing what nose contouring can do for her, I got inspired to try it on myself. And to tell you the truth, the first time I tried to contour my nose, I hated the results. I thought that the only thing I succeeded in doing was getting my nose looking dirty. So I simply removed the entire makeup and forgot about nose contouring for a very long time. Recently I decided to give it a second chance because one of my friends was really encouraging me to give it a second go. And even though I find that nose contouring still looks weird in real life, I can clearly see the makeup on my nose. I got really impressed by the results in photos and in videos. Because what we see in real life is three-dimensional, while what we see on our screens is two-dimensional. And somehow makeup does a great job in faking certain shades that create an illusion of having narrow nose, higher cheekbones, and so on. So today I'm going to show you how I like to contour my nose for photos and videos and share with you my general thoughts about it. When I was studying nose contouring techniques, I watched hundreds of videos on YouTube. Those that have taught me most and have proven to be the most useful for me are going to be linked in the description under this video. So that's my natural nose, and today I'm going to apply the techniques that I've learned to make my nose appear slightly shorter and more narrow. I'll transform it into this. I'll show you a natural version, a more dramatic version, and a couple of mistakes everyone should try to avoid. I tested quite a few different products for contouring and highlighting. And so far my favorite highlighter turned out to be a light concealer from Makeup Forever. I love its texture. I apply it in the center of my nose over a very light foundation, also from Makeup Forever. After that, my nose is going to appear wider than before, but that's when I move to the following step. With a cool toned brown shade, I'm going to draw two lines down the sides of my nose. And personally, I get the best results with the smudging brush. Next, I'm using my fluffy brush to blend out these lines. Out of all the products that I tested, I get the best results with eyebrow shadows. I also tested bronzers and different darker foundations, but they all turned out to be too warm-toned for me. Cream products didn't work out for me neither. They just wouldn't stick to my skin. Now to make my nose appear slightly shorter, I'm going to darken the tip of my nose. And while most people like to contour their nose all the way up to their brow bone, for me it's a really bad idea. Instead, I darken the area of my nose bridge between my eyes. This way my nose will appear slightly shorter, not only from the bottom, but also from the top. This kind of an effect meets my personal expectations almost perfectly. But there is one last thing that I like to do here. I set my contouring with some loose powder, making it appear even more uniform. I use some sort of a baking technique. So at first I apply quite a generous amount of my powder, leave it on for a couple of minutes, and then simply swipe off the excess. This way I get the most natural looking and long-lasting results. That's where I usually stop, but for the sake of today's experiment, I'm going to show you how I could get an even more dramatic effect. To make my nose appear even more narrow, I could bring the two parallel contouring lines closer together. I could also enhance my highlighter with a bright iridescent shade. I think that's when it really starts looking like I had some sort of a nose job. I could also try to lift the tip of my nose by applying a generous amount of a highlighter higher than my real tip. And to be totally honest with you, in some lighting I totally love this effect, but in some other lighting I totally hate it. It looks super fake and unnatural. So this kind of a makeup is something that I consider risky, and whether it will make you look better or ridiculous will only depend on the lighting you're working with. And some of the worst things you could do here would be to use contouring which is too dark, too warm toned, or forgetting to properly blend out your contouring. And personally, I'm not a big fan of a flashy highlighter neither. But as long as it stays natural looking, I simply love it. For me, the bottom line is that nose contouring is perfect for pictures and videos. It's definitely not something I would wear in real life though, because first of all, I can see it. Just like I see foundation, highlighter, blush, It's just part of makeup that is rather obvious on people, on myself, and no, I reserve it for photos and videos. And the second thing is that I don't know if you heard about this psychological experiment, but apparently people like themselves in mirror much more than in photos and in videos. And I totally agree with that. Like when I see my nose and my entire face in the mirror, I don't feel like there's a lot I'd like to enhance. I'm talking about good day now, okay? While in photos and in videos, there's always something I'd like to enhance. There are many reasons for that, and for me personally, the main one is the deformation caused by the camera. I already know what lens to use to minimize this deformation, and whenever someone uses the wrong lens on me, I immediately feel like my face goes ooh, and I really don't like it. So knowing that the camera is going to distort you anyway, you can use the power of makeup to counteract this effect. Let me know what you think about it in the comments under this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I see you in my next video. Bye!